What up, tubers? Bunny here alongside my trusty co-pilot Wormy, who is back from the dead, Mercury. And in this week's video, we're back with the GeoFS Games. So without further ado, let's get into it. So you are looking at the runway here at the Orlando International Airport, just south of Orlando, Florida. Now, from this runway, I will be doing this month's competition for the GeoFS Games, the Altitude Record Challenge. Excuse me, I almost forgot what it was for a second. Mercury. Well, for the Altitude Record Challenge, you have to fly an airplane something at this sort of level, and you have to ascend to as high an altitude as you possibly can before either you stall or you reach a certain time point, whichever comes first. Now, to ensure that planes start their flight at a relatively sea level altitude, to make sure they kind of start at sort of the zero altitude, I picked Orlando International because its runway is only about 100 feet above sea level according to this radio altimeter here. Okay, that wasn't butter, but I'm not trying for butter. In fact, if I take off a little bit, so for the first 1,000 feet of altitude, you are not awarded any points for any increase in altitude. But once you get to 1,000 feet, sort of the 1 o'clock position you see right here, once you get to 1,000 feet, then you start earning points for every 100 feet you ascend. So like 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 feet. So this plane would receive thus 3 points. For the first part of their flight, while they're not receiving the altitude points, the planes are actually going to receive 1 point for every second that they're under 1,000 feet. Now this pointage is to help make point earnings a little more impartial for the smaller aircraft, like not just the Pitts Special, but also like the Piper Cub and the Cessna. In fact, speaking of those aircraft, I think I mentioned everything that I need to mention concerning this event. Did I get everything? Let's see. Points for altitude increase. Oh, time limit. Each plane has 10 minutes from the moment they lift off the ground to get to their highest possible altitude. And let's see, I think that's everything. Time limit, points for altitude record. And yeah, if the plane stalls before the end of those 10 minutes, then that's going to be the end of their run right there. Let's see, did I get everything, Wormy? Agreed. Okay, well in that case, I'm going to bring this biplane into the hangar, make sure it's all checked up, ready for its test, its competition flight. But for the time being, let's give you a reminder of our competing field. So just a reminder as to what the competing field is. We have the Pitts Special, we have the Piper Cub, we have the Cessna 172, we have the F-16 Fighting Falcon, we have the Boeing 737-700, we have the Boeing 747-8 cargo freighter, we have the Q400, we have the Concorde, and finally we have the Airbus A380. Mercury. That's right, Wormy. However, that plane was eliminated in March's competition due to a tail strike. But now that the field has been introduced, let's go ahead and begin this competition. Starting with last month's competition winner, the Piper Cub. This plane was able to take off the soonest and the slowest. And today we'll witness the plane once again, probably taking off before this first set of marks you see here. It might even take off shortly after crossing the threshold. I am getting the timer set to 10 minutes. Now, Wormy, once you see that I am airborne, I need you to press the timer simultaneously. Got it? Great. Alright. So, Piper Cub's all set, ready for takeoff. So, without further ado, let's roll. So, I am the pilot in this event. I'm giving Wormy the break. And Wormy will be the race official. So, okay. I'm airborne. Okay. Now just keep it up like this. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit difficult getting to 1,000 feet. Could be, I don't think this plane is gonna be it's definitely not gonna be a first place winner. Let's see, 400 feet. Very, very, very slowly going up. I did not really take this into consideration when I took off, before I did this event. Uh-oh. That was a stall warning. That's a stall warning.
Stall.
Stall warnings are never good. Especially when you're trying to just fly higher. I'm gonna need to probably keep it around. I'm probably gonna need to keep the needle right around here if I'm gonna be able to. Okay, I am almost to 1,000 feet. 800 feet. 900 feet. And the time to get to 1,000 feet is 1 minute 39 seconds. 1 minute 39 seconds, 99 seconds. That's not gonna be good for this airplane. So yeah, I get the feeling that some of these airplanes are going to get time penalties in which they basically have a negative amount of points. As the race official, Wormy, you're gonna have to determine what becomes of those aircraft. But I get a hunch that this plane has not long for the competition. It's like I'm almost hovering, really. I mean, I'm clearly moving. I'm clearly moving at over 40 knots. What does that translate to? I think it translates to something like 50 miles an hour. But still, ridiculously slow. Well, let's see just how high I can get in the next 7 minutes, 16 seconds. So I'm going to go into a fast forward now. So I'll see you once I get to my maximum altitude. Malkreed. After that, 60 seconds. The stall warning keeps blaring at me, but I'm still going somehow. Starting to blare for longer. Gonna need to be careful. 4,500 feet altitude. going up 300 feet per minute. Mount Grade. Roger, understood. 30 seconds. 4,600 feet, I mean. Up 400 feet per minute. Mount Grade. Got it? Mount Grade. 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 Okay, Roger, understood. Time. The run has finally ended, and we'll just see what the altimeter read at that particular time. Let's get this tin cane turned around, bring it back around to the airport, and yeah, that was long enough. That was boring enough, really. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get to, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. Anyway, to the next plane. Okay, our next competitor is the Cessna 172. So you get the drill, right, Wormy? Mount Grade. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead. Here we go. 20 knots. 30 knots. 40 knots. 50 knots, 60 knots. Go for rotation. Okay, we're airborne. Mount Grade. Okay, good. Timer has started. Now, let's make sure we are stable. Okay. Okay, steady as she goes. We're lifting at much higher speeds now. Actually, I'm just gonna keep it at a lower... I'm gonna keep the nose a little lower. Let's see, I can probably tuck the flaps in. Okay, we're getting a much better vertical speed. So, we'll see what happens. So, let's see, 9 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in the run. Let's see, at what time is it that we reach the altitude of 1,000 feet? 900 feet, and the time it takes to get to 1,000 feet is 56 seconds. A much better flight thus far for the Cessna than it was for the Piper. And we're able to keep the vertical speed up above 10. I mean, this plane is still going pretty slowly, but you know what? We're almost a minute and a half into the flight, and already we have flown the length of the runway. Should be able to not only fly higher, we should also be able to go farther. We might be able to see places as we continue on our journey upward. Okay, 7.5 minutes remaining in the flight. We're already making some more headway. I don't know if that's the right word. Headway, maybe. Making some more headway now than we were when in the Piper. And already we're approaching 3,000 feet. So, yeah, not 3 minutes into the flight yet, and we're already 3,000 feet altitude. I got a good feeling about this one. (4,500 feet altitude. We're definitely beating the Cessna at this point. Let's see, what is the time? 5 minutes, 20 seconds left in the flight. Let's see, we might be able to reach 10,000 feet altitude by the end of the run. That should be interesting. Well, let's see. 5 minutes in. 5 minute mark, and here we go, 5,000 feet altitude. Speed's beneath 60 knots. there's a chance that we are going to stall before the end of the 10 minutes. Mercury. Roger that, 60 seconds. Altitude is 8,000 feet. Okay, 8,200 feet. Mercury. Copy that, 30 seconds. 8,300 feet altitude. Oh, I'm noticing that my torque has decreased because I am so high up. Okay, my velocity is 60 knots. Mount grade. Got it, 15 seconds. Mount grade. Okay, 10 seconds. 8,500 feet. Mount grade, Mount grade, Mount grade, Mount grade. Got that. The time is up. That's the end of the run. Got to 8,600 feet. Well, now to return back to the Orlando airport, and then we'll go on to the next plane. Alrighty, next up is the pit special. And we are underway with the pit special. We're lifting Mercury. Okay, the clock is running. Let's see, can I get this thing stable? Okay, that little maneuver will count towards the altitude increase. And time to 1,000 feet is 21 seconds. 21 seconds to 1,000 feet, and my golly, we are increasing altitude much more rapidly than either the Cessna or the Piper was increasing in altitude. This should be able to get the highest altitude yet in the competition. And we are at 110 knots. If we can maintain this kind of speed throughout the remaining 9 minutes, I think we should be able to get to maybe like, I don't know, what, 3,000 feet in under a minute? Well, hypothetically, we could get to 30,000 feet by the end of the run, but this biplane, it's a propeller prop. It's not meant to fly at high altitudes. So I'm pretty certain that it is not going to make it to 30,000 feet. That would be a very, very tall order. This is probably going to be the first aircraft to stall out before the end of the 10 minutes. 3 minutes, 20 seconds into the flight, and already we have gone higher than the Cessna. 9,000 feet now, over 9,000. And time to get to 10,000 feet altitude is 4 minutes. 4 minutes and 1 second technically. 4 minutes, 1 second to get to 10,000 feet altitude. Very impressive. (12,500 feet). The plane's engine is operating at only half as much thrust as it was operating at back down on the ground. And we are really seeing some things now. Making some distance, seeing new views, 13,000 feet. That is a big lake. What is that lake called? Which other lake name? Dang it doesn't give lake names. Oh well. Wormy, I hope you brought the tent. We can establish space camp now that we're at an altitude of 15,000 feet. Mercury, Yeah, why not? Mercury. Roger that. 60 seconds remaining in the flight. Imagine we might be able to make it to 17,000 feet before we stall out. Let's see, the needle is still right about here. Almost to the time limit. Mount grade. Roger, 30 seconds. And we're seeming to keep a stable speed right around here between 60 and 70 knots. Mount grade. Roger, 10 seconds. Mount grade, Mount grade, Mount grade, Mount grade, Mount grade, Mount grade. Understood? Time. We've reached the time. We are above 17,000 feet. Very impressive. I was expecting the pit special to not do this well. I was surprised that I made it at 10,000 feet, but wow. Made it at 17,000 feet, made it the whole 10 minutes. Impressive. Anyway, we can go ahead and ditch the altitude thing and let's go on to the next plane. Well, to keep with the spirit of increasing power in airplanes, power, the next plane up is going to be the Q400. And we are underway! 27 seconds. 27 seconds to get up to 1,000 feet altitude. The only plane thus far to have reached 5,000 feet in over a minute and a half, just a little over a minute and a half. Not even 3 minutes to make it to an altitude of 10,000 feet. Our speed is 225 knots approximately, and we're still going strong. Almost 5 minutes into the flight, we're now at 17,000 feet. At this point, we are beating the pit special in its altitude. Mercury. Roger that, 60 seconds remaining. We have now reached 30,000 feet altitude. And we're still climbing, we're still doing pretty good. Mercury. Roger that, time. We have managed to get above 32,000 feet. Next up is the Boeing 737. Behind the 1,000 feet is 20 seconds. Mercury, and I got to 38,000 feet by the end of those 10 minutes. I am above 250 knots. Yes, I definitely beat the Q4. Our next competitor is the 7478. 19 seconds. So it gets quicker and quicker to get to 1,000 feet altitude. Mercury. Got that 10 seconds. Mercury, 5 seconds. Are we gonna make it to 39,000? Mercury, just barely. We just barely made it to 39,000 feet in 10 minutes. Bigger is better, Wormy. And in this flight simulator, you can't get much bigger than our next contestants, the Airbus A380. 17 seconds to reach 1,000 feet altitude. Milkweed, 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 milkweed. Okay, copy that. We've reached the end of those 10 minutes. And yeah, I think this aircraft can hardly keep itself aloft. So let's go ahead and just drop it down. I see a runway over there where we can land. So we'll go over there. But then on to the next aircraft. Alrighty, at this point in the event, only 2 aircraft remain. The Concorde, which is our next competitor up, and the F-16. Now, given that these 2 aircraft are supersonic aircraft, I get the feeling that they're going to be able to outdo the 747 in altitude. Really, the question concerning who's gonna win this event is a matter of asking which of the 2 supersonic aircraft is gonna fly the highest. Now, I know that in the case of the Concorde, I know for certain that I can fly it to super high altitudes because last year I had posted a video called Flying the Concorde to Space, in which I used autopilot to fly the Concorde up to altitudes of over 107,000 feet, which would probably give it a total pointage of, what, 1,070 points. Anyway, let's rotate. Okay, the clock is running. Gear up. We are airborne. Just how long does it take to get to 1,000 feet? 700 feet, 800 feet, 900 feet, and 18 seconds. 18 seconds to reach 1,000 feet. Part of that was largely just rapid pilot error. I'll bring the nose up so that we can be a bit more aerodynamic. And from here, it's just a matter of flying to as high an altitude as possible in the next 9 minutes, 15 seconds. Mercury, copy that. Time. We have reached 64,000 feet, over 500 knots. I think this thing could keep going if I allowed it. And our last competitor for this event, the F-16 Fighting Falcon. 10 seconds. 10 seconds to get to 1,000 feet. 76,000 feet at 4 minutes 2 seconds. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep the plane steady for too long. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep it aloft. In fact, I think we're about to stall out. We're about to stall. Yep, we're getting the stall warning.
Stall.
At 78,000 feet.
Stall.
And pause it. Okay, we have reached 77,900 feet in 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Well, now that the F-16 has reached its apogee, and now I'm gonna bring it back down, but otherwise that is going to bring an end to this month's Geo Flight Simulator competition. Now before I wrap up the video, I ought to show the results from this competition. Here are the results. So as we established just a minute ago, the F-16 is the winner of this month's competition, bar none. However, the surprise of this competition happens to be that the Cessna 172 is the plane that is going to be eliminated from the games. The Piper's survival in this competition just goes to show that it's not just about getting the biggest numbers on the most valuable set of points. You also need to be sure to get some of the other set of points as well. For if it weren't for the fact that the Piper spent so much time under 1,000 feet, the Piper probably would have been eliminated from the games. But yet, this tiny little aircraft, which otherwise isn't built for racing, is going to live to compete another day. But at this point, it's time to say goodbye to the Cessna 172. And with that, it's time to call it for this week's video. So in next week's video, I'm going to go back to Kerbal Space Program, and I'm going to launch Artemis 10. I haven't done an Artemis mission since September, and I think it's time to return to the Moon. But the objective for Artemis 10 is going to be to launch the Artemis spacecraft using a Saturn booster instead of my old Kronos booster. And be sure to come back to Geo Flight Simulator next month for the third competition, the Aircraft Carrier Challenge. Namely, how well can an airplane do with an aircraft carrier? But anyway, that's just about everything. That is going to conclude this week's video. So for Wormy Capellier, I'm the Imaginative Astro Bunny. We hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you all next week. India Alpha Bravo, Mercury, checking out.